Hello and welcome to the God Date podcast, a Northwest youth podcast. We're your hosts, Amelia,
Joy,
and Sam,
and we're so glad you're joining us. Each episode we sit down with an amazing guest for a God Date to hear all about their faith journey. We'll ask them 5 questions, dive into their story and explore what God is doing through their experiences. So let's get started. Today we are joined with some very, very, very special guests. We have Jonny and Kat. Hello, guys.
Hello. Great to be with you.
So,
Great to be with you guys too.
Any listeners that don't know who Jonny and Kat are, do you just want to tell us a little bit about yourselves? What do you do in the Salvation Army?
So we are Salvation Army officers. We've been doing that role for about 5 years. We were corps officers in Barrow-in-Furness for 3 years in the Northwest, and 2 years ago we moved to London to work in THQ as a territorial children and youth secretaries. So that means that we kind of oversee children and youth work around the UK.
Nice. What sort of things does that involve day to day?
So some days there's just lots of meetings and lots of emails, but the real joy of the job is actually getting out and meeting people. So visiting corps, spending time with young people, and recording podcasts like this. It's joy already this evening to connect with you guys. It's great.
Okay. So our very first question is: describe yourself as a meal deal. Tell us the shop, tell us the sandwich, tell us the snacks, tell us the drinks, give us some detail. Yes, tell us what kind of, do you need a membership card to get, some pounds off? Tell us about it.
There's so many subsections to this question.
Well, part of my immediate response would be a happy meal.
Strong.
Because I'm quite joyful, quite full of life, but actually I'm much bigger than a happy meal. Do you know what I mean? I need a meaty meal. You know what I mean? So if they did an extra large happy meal, that would probably be something like me. Yeah.
A drink of choice? Are you a fruit shoot man?
I'm a milkshake man. Chocolate
shake.
Or if it's hot and summery, a strawberry shake.
Sorry, does the flavour change based on outside temperature?
Generally, yeah.
That's fascinating.
So
chocolate shake is a winter shake, strawberry shake, the summer shake.
Completely natural.
Yeah.
How about you, Kat?
Oreo.
I think my meal deal would be, so this is going to sound really posh, but it not because we don't do this all the time, but an M&S meal deal, because they
alienated so much of the listenership.
But honestly, I'll tell you, in their sandwiches and wraps, they have just got the right amount of sauce, and I can't bear a dry sandwich. So the once or twice that I've had an M&S meal deal, it's been spot on. A hoisin duck wrap would be perfect for me. A smoothie, and then the hard thing with a meal deal is whether you go for crisps or chocolate, isn't it? But I think most of the time for me, it's going to be the chocolate that wins.
Chocolate choice?
Yeah. Do you know, I love a double decker.
I would argue it's controversial.
Yeah, sorry about that.
It's not the foremost Cadbury's.
Yeah, not a comment.
But I do respect it. Right, shall we plough forth into our first question?
Yes.
Jonny and Kat, let's start with you, Kat. What are you grateful for?
Okay, so I'm going to give an answer that I know has been given before on this podcast, but I'm not ashamed of that. My answer is people. I'm so grateful for people, the people that I get to love and the people that love me. I think that people are one of the ways God shows me that I'm seen and known and held. So I am here for the long hugs, the deep conversations. It's all about people and community for me. So that's what I'm grateful for.
I mean, it's fab. I mean, people at the centre of officership, and I suppose at your role now, well, that thought was going somewhere, and then I sort of stopped speaking.
Oh, it's okay. What about you, Jonny?
So I'm just grateful for lots of things. I'm grateful for my family. I'm grateful for Kat and our three girls. They're
Yeah.
just a joy to be around and keep me really grounded in all sorts of ways and in all sorts of things. But in addition to that, I just love getting outside into
Yes, love
nature, into
that.
creation. Love the coast, love the mountains.
Yeah.
Just love getting into the depths of countryside and just being in a place. Do you remember being in places where you can't see anything that is man-made?
Yeah.
Yes.
And being in some of those spaces, I'm just so grateful for
I
that.
love
It just
that.
does something for me.
Nature
Have you
walks.
got a favorite hiking spot?
Ooh,
Oh.
great one. Well, being appointed to Barrow-in-Furness, which is right down in the south of Cumbria near the Lake District.
Oh
So we did
yeah.
some walking of the Cumbria Way. So you start in Ulverston in the south of the lakes, and then you work your way up into the
Oh
lakes.
That's
nice.
amazing.
I did some of that, and actually I remember camping out overnight in the middle of nowhere,
Oh my
wild camp
days.
beside a tarn, beside a lake of water, and it was just beautiful. It was just me, no one else around,
Nice.
nothing else
Okay, I could
around.
do the hike, couldn't do the camping.
I've never been camping before, you know.
No,
Never.
Oh, really?
it's
Never.
great.
Oh, wow.
I need to try it one
Get out
time.
there, do it.
Okay, I feel like I have to ask this one to everyone because
Oh.
I believe there is a right answer and a wrong answer. So, what is the best part of a Sunday roast?
Very strong.
Oh, definite answer for me on this one, a Yorkshire pudding.
Yes,
Oh, no.
What it's
Johnny!
gotta
Let's
be.
get in.
That's what I'm
Yeah,
talking about.
that's
Get that
it.
Yorkshire pudding in there, yeah.
I-
Bigger the better.
That's it right there.
What about you, Kat?
Right. I also love a Yorkshire pudding, but I was going to actually say like roasted sweet potato is where it's at
Okay.
for me.
Strong.
Love that. Love that.
Right.
Sweet potato.
Yeah.
Fascinating.
I love
Yeah.
that.
I mean, the Yorkshire pudding, I quit. I would argue the Yorkshire pudding is a medium. I don't think the Yorkshire
Sam.
pudding is a thing on its own. I think
Stop.
Yorkshire pudding is good for texture, is good for having with other stuff.
Yeah.
Perhaps, maybe
joking?
you like it for that, perhaps.
It makes the roast dinner.
Wow.
I was going to ask where you guys stand on Brussels sprouts.
Strong.
Because
Lovely.
I'm a big fan of the
Oh
Brussels
my
sprout.
gosh, we're gonna get along.
Controversial one.
Every year,
Good
my
stuff,
dad
that.
tries to convince me to eat one at Christmas, and I'm literally there like,
Mm,
oh no, I
lovely.
couldn't think of anything worse. No.
Oh. My follow-up question was just going to be on the Yorkshire pudding. Are you like all about the crispy edges or that kind of slightly soggy bit in the middle? Like for me,
It's about the
it's
dough.
the middle, all about the middle. But
Yeah, absolutely.
Mm.
It's the most
All I
absorbent bit.
think is
Yeah.
the bigger the better.
yes, that's it. That's it. Right
Would you
there.
rather
That's
you
it
rather
right
replace the plate with Yorkshire?
Yeah.
Yeah,
And those
yeah.
roast dinners that you get in the giant Yorkshire
Yeah,
pudding.
yeah.
That's yeah.
That's a good meal.
Jonny, I'll start with you. What song or piece of music is helping you connect with God at the moment, or what's really on your heart at the moment?
Yeah, so there's a couple of songs really. One has been recently the song "The Goodness of God," and it just speaks so much about God's faithfulness over many years. But then the fact that He's been faithful over many years means you can trust Him now in whatever's going on for you now in life. So yeah, that song "Goodness of God." But if I need to really sort of be lifted and my spirit lifted, the song that brings me real joy is "You Have Made Me Glad."
Yes,
Tune.
absolute
It gets me
banger.
bopping that opening riff. Yeah, it gets me going.
It
Lifts
is
your spirit.
it's a bopper.
You have to dance around the bedroom when that one
Oh,
starts.
100%.
So yeah,
And
Charity Gale.
I was
Get it
very
on.
blessed to see your moves at the CY conference. So
Yeah.
I can only imagine, really.
I just feel sorry for my kids, that their dad is out there dancing very dad-like.
Do you know what I love about that song? I think sometimes worship songs can sometimes be a little bit depressing,
Yeah.
right? And do you know what? I think there's definitely a time for,
Yeah.
being reflective, but that song is just all about joy and happiness.
Yeah,
Gosh,
Yeah.
yeah.
So I love that song.
beautiful.
I love that so much. And what about you, Kat? What's your song at the moment?
Yeah, so a song that's a bit of an earworm for me at the moment is by CeCe Winans, and it's called That's My King. Yeah, again, it's quite another really uplifting song. Want to dance around the kitchen while Johnny's dancing in the bedroom. I'm dancing in the kitchen. But yeah, the message in the song is like, there's not enough words to describe God, that he's my king. And if I wanted to paint a picture of God, there wouldn't be even enough colors to complete the picture. And he's so good, and he's so awesome, and he's so powerful, and that's my king. And I just love that, like that affirmation. That's my king. That's who I serve. Yeah.
Oh, I love that. I feel like sometimes especially you need that reminder and that affirmation, like that's my king, that's my God, that's my protector. Like that's so powerful, especially like when you've got mountains you're trying to face, you're just struggling to get through the day, but you're like, you know what? I've got a king. And he's my best friend. I serve like the King of Kings. Like I just love that reminder. Thank you so much for sharing that, guys.
It's great.
Yeah. Hi, Jonny and Kat. If you were to choose one colour snooker ball to be, what would it be and why? So we're thinking yellow, we're thinking green, we're thinking brown, we're thinking blue, we're thinking pink, we're thinking red if you're feeling basic, we're thinking white, we're thinking black if you're feeling spicy.
Yeah. My head went instantly black, high value.
Now that says a lot,
value.
I think.
Wow.
I know. I don't know what that says. That's, you can analyze that answer.
Oh, this will be used in psychological studies for years to come.
It will.
Amazing.
Kat?
I was gonna say pink. I've got no idea why. I was just like, I just
see.
Pink
I think this is like Rorschach test. Like this is, I think people could delve into this and really study things about your psyches.
Yeah.
Definitely.
Johnny thinks well above his station. He thinks he's a number 7. He's a 7-pointer. None of this red.
Yeah, exactly. If you which of you do you think would win at a snooker game?
I think it depends if anyone's watching, because if there's any sort of pressure, I completely crumble, and Johnny thrives. So if anyone's
love a bit of pressure.
Anyone's watching us, he's winning for sure.
Nice. There you are. It's a perfect question. So moving on, what is everyone's favourite Bible verse, and indeed why?
So mine would have to be Romans 15:13. It says this: "May the God of hope fill you with all joy and peace as you trust in him, so that you will overflow with hope by the power of the Holy Spirit."
Nice.
And it just brings me real sort of, I want to be filled with the Holy Spirit, so I overflow with joy and with peace. I want to trust in a God that does that. But I had a revelation and a realization a few years ago that this was Paul writing to a whole church. It wasn't written to an individual. It works as a prayer for an individual, but it works as a prayer for the whole church. May the whole church be filled with joy and peace as they trust in him, so that the whole of the church will overflow with hope by the power of the Holy Spirit. And we're living in a time, aren't we? We're living in a world that just needs that hope.
Yeah, absolutely.
It needs that joy. It needs that peace. So come on, church, let's get filled with the Holy Spirit and be that.
Well, I love that word overflow as well. It's not even, I'll have enough hope to get by. It's, bursting with hope. I think that's fantastic. Now we do have to pause the podcast at this point to ask what your translations of choice are. It's a very important question.
Ooh. So I quite like an NIV if I'm just going for the standard.
It is a classic.
But then sometimes I will always have a little look in the message just to weigh that up. Sometimes that has a
of course.
way. But also recently the NIRV. New International Readers Version.
That's too many letters.
NIRV, New International Readers Version. And that's because it's put it all in really simple language. So it's for a younger reading age. And my English and my reading's not great. And it just helps me to understand. But I think it's a great translation for the church. Because it will help the whole church to better understand what Scripture's saying.
Nice.
I love that.
I've never heard of
Kat,
that.
what's also... Yeah, I think we've strayed into new territory here. Well, certainly one more letter.
Just add the R. Add
the R. Kat, what's your translation? Which I would argue is the real question here. Secondly, what's your Bible verse of choice?
Okay, so I'm usually an NIV person, happy with the NIV.
Okay.
I do like to compare between different versions. I like to sometimes dip into the message, and I think that it's so poetic and says things in a new way.
Guys, the lack of NLT
recently-
shout outs is
NLT.
It's
I'm an
destroying
NLT
us.
babe.
we're all NLT babes.
We're-
That's what this question's really about. This is a covert NLT operation.
Sorry, we haven't affirmed you in that.
So go on, Kat.
Oh no, that's fine. I was going to say I've recently discovered the First Nations version of the New
Oh.
Testament.
Another one I've not heard
And-
of.
Not even letters.
Right, and as it's the F. Let me find it. FN.
Oh, no, it is.
NT. Okay.
So we're back to letters.
That doesn't fly off the tongue, does it?
Listen, but what I really love in that version of the Bible is that everybody's name, instead of a name, they are given like a phrase that describes who they are
Oh.
as their name.
Sweet.
So when it describes even like Jesus and the Spirit and Peter and Paul and everyone, they're described
so
by like
cute.
what they're like and who they are. So when you read it, you're like, oh, that's amazing. So yeah, maybe have a dip into that. at some
Yeah.
point.
So nice.
What's your Bible verse, Kat?
So I am really bad at choosing favorites of anything
Yeah.
because it
Mm,
changes all the
feel you.
time. So I have a real soft spot for the book of Ephesians. It's not my favorite, but I like it. I really love the Psalms. And as I'm like doing more and more of life, I'm finding that the Psalms just speak into so much of life.
Mm.
But if I have to pick like a verse or a chapter, it's going to be John chapter 1, and especially verses 4 and
Yeah.
5. I'm going to read it. It says, in him, this is in Jesus, in him was life, and that life was the light of all mankind. The light shines in the darkness, and the darkness has not
Amen.
Love
overcome
that
it.
verse. Yeah.
I think another translation says the darkness cannot
yeah.
overcome it. And I love it because it speaks of victory. It speaks of the total hope and the truth that we have in Jesus. It speaks that to me that integrity wins and that God wins and nothing can overcome that. And I love that.
Mm.
I know sometimes when we're in sort of dark places, it's hard to see that light and remember Jesus is there. Is there anything that you do to remember that Jesus is with me in this and he is being my light?
There's probably different things at different times, but something that I've done recently is if I'm dealing with something that's quite challenging or in a meeting that I know is going to be tough or doing some work that's hard, I literally light a candle and put it next to me.
Oh, that's so
And
great.
it's just constantly there. I know that probably sounds like really cheesy, but it's an actual reminder next to me
Yeah.
that there is light and that God is there with what I'm doing. So
No, I love that. As a visual person,
Mm.
that's great because I feel like it makes that whole idea of Jesus being the light less abstract.
Yeah. You can see
So
it.
I might try that one,
Yeah, do it.
try it.
I think
Love
I
a
will
good
too.
candle.
Yeah.
Love a good candle. It's
Especially
great.
when they smell nice.
Yeah.
Do people have
Yeah.
do people have candles in their room? My sister is
I do.
is a candle hoarder, but I do not. I simply do not have access.
Okay. So, what is the most satisfying sound for you to hear? I know I have so many, but I want to know what you guys think is your favorite.
I think there's something really satisfying about, a gong, a tam tam.
Yep.
Oh yeah.
Question, well, and it has that big sound, and then it just decays. Sorry, that probably doesn't work. On a
Not at
podcast,
all
does it?
picked up. It's because Zoom registered it was so musical. It decided that it must be emitted from broadcast. Omitted.
Yes. Oh, well, there we go. You didn't get the sound effect, but yeah, a great
Oh,
tam
it's
tam strike. The way it just evolves over time, it's great.
Mm.
I love
For
that.
me, when you're making a cup of tea
Mm.
and
Yeah.
you're pouring on the boiling water and your tea bag floats to the top, there is next time you make a cup of tea, just listen to that sound. It's the best sound.
Is there
There's a
Tea bag
sound.
floats and the boiling water's just hitting that tea bag, and it's next level. Right?
Wow.
Wow.
Wait, so you
Oh.
put the hot water and then put the tea bag in and there's a sound.
No,
Oh,
tea bag
no, no.
first.
Tea bags first.
Tea-
and
Gotta
then
pummel the tea
yeah.
out.
yeah.
Oh, that's fascinating. I've never heard that before. I'm gonna try that,
I hope you're not too disappointed.
What's that thing they call it where there's just people do recordings of satisfying sounds?
ASMR.
ASMR.
ASMR, yeah.
Yeah.
Is it one of those sounds?
I
The
was
tea
gonna
bag?
ask if you guys knew about that collab.
Yeah,
But I was like,
Basically,
no,
what
my
she was
God.
saying is, are you old?
Do you think we should ask Cal to get an ASMR segment in this podcast?
Yeah.
Please.
I think we need 5 minutes at the end just to
I
de-stress
petition,
and
guys.
tingle out.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Like a paintbrush roll, sort of just painting on the
yeah,
inside, just
yeah,
like-
yeah, yeah, yeah.
Jonny, who has been an influence on your spiritual journey?
Wow. I was thinking about this and I was thinking there's just been so many people and so many different people at different stages of my life that have spoken into my life, spoken truth and wisdom to me. Just ordinary people, my Sunday school teachers, people at my core growing up, my friends, my family, divisional youth specialists or divisional youth secretaries, as they were called when I was a younger person, who just shared things and shared encouragement to
Yeah,
me
that's so
over
beautiful.
the years. So yeah, there's been all sorts of people that have spoken into my life. Things that I've heard, people that have prayed with me, people that have shared encouragement, different mentors and things like that. I had the joy a few weeks ago of going back to the Territorial Youth Band course as the spiritual program
sweet.
director, and yeah, and it was great fun. It was really good. I really enjoyed it, but it caused me to remember that 28 years ago, I went to the first ever Territorial Youth Band course
my
as a 13 or
goodness.
14-year-old.
Wow.
Yeah. And so I was remembering some of those people. I went to the first one. I grew up in a really small Salvation Army church, and I went to the first ever one. And my mum shared a story that just recently that she thought I wouldn't stay. She thought I wouldn't like it and I wouldn't be
Oh
able
my
to manage and
goodness.
cope. And I absolutely had the best time because of the people that were there speaking
Yes.
into me.
Oh, awesome.
And that week transformed me. And then for the rest of my teenage years, going to the Territorial Youth Band course was my highlight of the year. And so then to go back to that all these years later and to be in a position where you're the spiritual program director, and it just caused to think of all those people that
Full
have been in that
circle
role,
moment.
that you just don't know the little word or the little phrase or the little encouragement that will might mean something really significant for those people.
So beautiful.
So let's all be encouragers, guys.
Absolutely. And you know what? I think that is one of the standout points for me about the Salvation Army is what a great community we have.
Gosh, yeah. Gosh,
The,
yeah.
the amount of conversations, the prayers, the people you can rely on. Yeah, it's one of my favorite things about the army.
I love that.
Okay, Kat, who is your influence on your spiritual journey?
Yeah, so probably similar to Jonny, there's been loads of different people I can think of over the years that have influenced me in different ways. But I think for me, a really formational time spiritually was as a young adult when I was part of a small group, like a Bible study cell group, whatever you want to call it, for over quite a number of years. And it was all people similar age to me, sort of like late teens, early 20s. And we just every week we had great snacks. We opened the Bible. We tried to figure out what on earth it meant. We talked our lives. We prayed together. We supported each other through brilliant times and awful times. And it was that kind of realization, I think, as well in that time, that my spiritual journey was also my responsibility, and that I could actually not just sit in church as a consumer and kind of be told, but actually I want to go and discover more, and I want to dig into this myself. So that was really an influential time on my spiritual journey. I've recently read this book by John Mark Comer called Practicing the Way, and that has been really influential for me. I'm still working through, like, okay, do I want to make my own rule of life, and what does that look like? But I do think that more than any book or more than any like theologian or great thinker, seeing the people I know living out their Christian faith impacts me so much. So
Yeah, I really think it can't be understated, the value of, especially people your own age. That's why I think the youth stuff and Salvation Army is so fantastic, because the ability to find people your own age who share your faith and see the way that they live out your life, they live out their lives. I think it's, as you say, so inspiring.
Yeah, I think also having people that you can do life with It's so important. Like, I know there's someone at my church always says, you can come to Christ alone, but you can't follow him alone. You'll always need that community you can always come to God with. And I even had like heard this thing like quite a few years ago. It might be a little bit off topic, but it was just reminding me, that story of the paralyzed man and his friends bring him up, they open the roof and they go down to Jesus.
Yeah.
And then someone said, it was the faith of that guy's friends that got him healed. So the
Oh, yeah.
people that you allow to speak into your life and the friends that you keep, they matter so much. So if you can find faithful friends that want to build you up, encourage you, want to walk with you through all kinds of seasons in your life, that's like so key. So yeah, I absolutely love that. And I've loved hearing about you guys and your spiritual journeys and your influences. I love that so much.
Yes. Oh, that was lovely, Joy, but I'm afraid that was too off topic, so we are gonna have to cut that.
Yes,
Yeah, so
yes,
that's
yes,
gone.
yes.
That is gone, I'm afraid.
Hating.
Nice work, but lots of room for, I'm
Nice try,
afraid.
buddy. So, Jonny and Kat, as we come to the close of our episode, one final question for both of you guys. Kat, I'm going to start with you. What does prayer look like for you, and how can we pray for you?
Okay. I think prayer looks like a few different things for me. Sometimes I go through a phase where the first thing I think and do when I wake up is I'm just in conversation with God, and it's beautiful and it starts the day right. I'm actually not in that at the moment. I can't choose when that happens, but when it does, I'm like, oh, everything's just wonderful because I'm just waking up and I'm talking to God. I'm not in that right now, but that's okay because one day I'll be in it. Another thing that I've really discovered in prayer was through reading a book by Lyndall Bywater called Prayer in the Making. And she talks about loads of different ways of praying, and she talks about praying with actions. And I was really taken by that. And what it is like doing an action that kind of symbolizes the prayer you want to make. So she talks about untying knots in a piece of string as a way of kind of just praying over your problems. And a while ago I was preparing for something and I was like sharpening a whole box of pencils, and it's like that preparatory work of sharpening pencils ready. It was like me praying over my needing to be ready for something. But that kind of physically working out your prayers, and even if you don't have words, the action is kind of symbolizing your prayers. So yeah, that's a really powerful way of prayer for me. If I was asking you to pray for me, I think I would ask for wisdom and courage in equal measure. I think they're both things that I need. I think if I just was really, really wise and didn't have the courage to do anything about it, it would be wasted. And if I was purely courageous and completely foolish, then it would be a disaster. So wisdom, measure. That's my prayer.
Oh, I love that so much. And you, Jonny, what would you like for us to pray for you, and what does prayer look like for you?
Well, I think Kat's been reading my notes because I've got written down here, pray for me, like wisdom as well, for to know what God is saying to me and what I need to do with this, and then boldness to live that out is how I expressed it. So yeah, for me it was wisdom and boldness. So wisdom and courage, wisdom and boldness, those things would be really helpful to pray those things so we can speak out, so that we can do those things that we feel God has placed on our hearts.
You mentioned like trying to understand what God's saying. Did you find that there is a uniform way that like God speaks to you? Like I know that's a lot of young people I know go like, how do I know if God's speaking to me? You know?
Yeah. You mean you don't just get a letter on your bedside every morning? Not
talking about me. God texts me. Voice. God's on WhatsApp.
You WhatsApp you, does he?
Yeah. His status is still, hey there, I'm still using WhatsApp, but he's figuring it out.
That's brilliant. I love that. I think for me, sometimes what I read in books or what I read in the Bible sometimes helps situations that I'm facing. It speaks into those, it helps them to make sense. Lyrics in songs.
Gosh, yeah.
Me and then just I think sitting in a coffee shop with a notebook, just doodling and with my thoughts. That's quite often God will speak as I journal or I jot some of those things down. So yes, there's some of the ways that I think God
Brilliant.
does speak to me.
Johnny,
The words of other people as well. You know, when you pray about something and you're like, I'm not sure about this, God, and then you just know, like within the day, you get a phone call or you have a conversation with someone, and they say something, and you just like hits you between the eyes, like, what?
Yeah.
That's from
Johnny,
God.
we didn't actually hear. How do you pray?
Oh yes.
How do I pray?
Let us
Great
know.
question.
Let us
I think
know.
for me, it takes different rhythms in different types of the week. I have some sort of ADHD tendencies, I think, and so concentration and doing things the same rhythm every day, it doesn't really work for me. So I do lots of different things. Like Kat said, physically working out prayers, and for me, sort of through music, that's really helpful sometimes. As I say, journaling or with a notebook and a book to read really helps focus some of my thinking and some of my thoughts. But yeah, it takes different rhythms. I like that phrase or that concept of praying without ceasing. So that idea of trying to listen and be aware what God is doing, what God is saying, that God's presence is with me in every moment through the day. And so those little snippet prayers, those little snippet interactions with God, conscious interactions with God in all those different places and spaces we go through the day. I think I try just to have those little connections through the day.
And I'm right in saying, Johnny, you're a drummer.
I am a drummer.
I did not know this until the conference.
Did you
not? And I can't even tell you, like, my jaw hit the floor. I was like, who is this person? Okay, so we're trying something a little bit different this episode, and we are going to play a game of Mr. and Mrs. This will either make or break the relationship. So, we're going to start with Kat. I'm going to ask Kat 5 questions. She's going to answer, is it Johnny, is it Kat? And we'll see if Johnny has similar answers. And just to say, Johnny is not present. So Johnny is not hearing any of this.
Well, you could be listening at the door. We don't know.
We've tried.
So, question 1. Who is the messiest?
Johnny, 100%.
Oh,
Johnny.
Straight in there. Great.
Never in doubt.
Who is the boss?
I think that Johnny will say that it's me, and that I know the right answer straight away, and he doesn't believe me. But then after a while, he's eventually convinced, and that's kind of how it works for us generally. Yeah.
Okay. Who is the grumpiest?
Ooh.
Oh, I feel like it's probably me. I'm just gonna own it. It's probably me.
Who has the worst memory?
Ooh.
Also me. Yeah. If it's like a conversation that's been had, Johnny might forget. But if it's like facts and figures, he just knows that stuff and he holds it in his
I've always
brain
wanted that skill.
Real.
And lastly, who is the best cook?
Oh, I think it depends what you want. If you want to know what you're going to get, it might be me. If you want, Johnny's likely to like add beans to a pizza or do something like that. So if you want the adventure, then Johnny. But for solidarity, probably me. Yeah.
I think I'll have your cooking, Kat. Okay, so we've got Johnny back, and we're going to see if his answers match what Kat has said. Yeah. So the first question was, who is the messiest?
Ooh. I think it probably is me.
Yeah.
Yes.
One for one.
Yeah.
Okay, who would you say is the boss?
Ooh. I think we're quite even in some ways, yeah.
Oh,
okay. I like to refer to Kat in sort of what's going on, like what we should do for dinner or how things should be. But I don't know if we've got a boss. Would you say?
Well, she did say. She said about 2 minutes ago.
What did she say? Are you allowed to tell me?
Yeah. Well, Kat reckons. Kat.
Kat is the
Although
boss.
there was dithering. I would caveat that there was dithering.
But ultimately, Kat.
But ultimately, Kat.
Okay, yeah, fair enough.
Who is the grumpiest?
Ooh. Yeah, I think I can have the most extreme emotions. So I think I can be full of joy, or I can be pretty grumpy.
Okay, so you're saying yourself.
Interesting.
I think me, maybe.
A disparity.
Oh,
I said it was me.
I
but-
said we're no good at this game.
Well, I would argue you're 1.5 for 1.
Oh, okay.
I'd
No,
take
for
it.
3.
And you haven't fallen out yet.
No, we haven't fallen out.
Yet being the operative word.
Yeah.
Okay, who has the worst memory?
Oh, I don't want to be mean on this one, but I think
You can.
it might be Kat. Yeah. I have a brain that remembers weird things and like numbers and statistics and all sorts. So yeah.
Okay, and then finally, who is the best cook?
Kat,
Yeah,
definitely.
okay.
Nice.
100%. Yeah. She's the baker. She makes awesome cakes,
love
and
that.
yeah, she's good. Yeah.
That's it.
Yeah, so it's good.
I did say that you'll occasionally do wild things like put beans on a
Yeah, that's weird,
Oh,
Johnny, I've
yeah.
got to say.
That's good stuff.
I've also going back to the Brussels sprouts
Oh,
thing from
no.
earlier. Yeah. I've put Brussels sprouts on
What?
a pizza. when I was
That's
a student. It's
strong.
great.
Ah,
It's
see,
got to be tried.
How
It's
to
gotta be
ruin a
tried.
I lost my
pizza.
own heart. Yeah.
Right, is the marriage still going strong?
Yeah, I think we're okay. Yeah.
Give yourselves a check over.
Brill. Got to check.
Well, Jonny and Kat, thanks so much for coming on.
Yay.
Oh, we've absolutely loved it. It's been so much fun. Thank you, guys.
I'm pleased. No, yeah, keep doing what you're doing. Keep
Yeah.
doing that youth stuff.